在長談深入時事話題，今日我哋請到嘅對話嘅來賓呢，係我哋嘅 BC 省律政廳同司法廳廳長 Suzanne Anton。Mr. Anton, welcome back to our show.
Thank you very much, BC Lee. It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, well, Suzanne, this is the third time you came to our show, and we really appreciate it. But the first time, you mainly talk about your favorite project at that time, the liquor's license, how you have opened up so that everyone can enjoy their cocktail. And then the next time, you talk about one of your favorite projects, who is the Civic Resolution Tribunal. Today, after all these years, let's go back and revisit these two, how you have administered and what are the consequences and outcomes. First of all, the liquor license. Have you heard anyone come and tell you that that's a bad decision?
When we were elected in 2013, nearly 4 years ago now, the Premier made a commitment to change the face of liquor distribution and use and enjoyment of liquor in British Columbia, always remembering public health and public safety. And so we had an extensive program. I was the minister. I'm not the minister anymore, but I was the minister. And John Yap, who I know your viewers know well,
yes,
was in charge of going around the province and finding out what people wanted. So we did. We changed the face of liquor in British Columbia. We've imagined things that have changed now. You can hardly imagine that we didn't used to have them. Happy hour. Everybody has happy hour now. 4 years ago, you could not have a happy hour.
But at that time, the biggest the opposition the voice is that it's not good for our health. So after all these years, is there any accumulation of data to show what it impacts the health? Have we become more alcoholic, or people's liver is worse?
Well, I'm not aware of anything like that, but I do know that there are public health notices and things around the sale and distribution of liquor. But we've got wine and grocery stores now, BC. We've really changed the face of liquor in British Columbia. At the same time, very, very supportive of our BC liquor industry, our BC wine industry. So we've got local wineries, which produce some of the best wines in the world. We've got craft breweries now all through British Columbia, and we've got craft distilleries making very interesting liquor products.
Yes, supporting the local industry, particularly the wine industry, will get you a lot of votes. But you're also sued, as we've heard recently, the California wine industry has officially filed a complaint to the World Trade Organization, and that we have violated the rules, whatever it is, of fair trade, because we prohibit other the products to get into our supermarket and grocery stores.
So
what will be the
So what we're talking about is the BC wine and grocery stores. By the way, none in the city of Vancouver. The city of Vancouver is behind everybody else in the province who understands the benefit of having these kinds of licenses in groceries. There's a very limited number of the licenses. They're trade compliant. We feel very confident about that. So there's an inquiry being made, but it should go nowhere, because we've been very careful to limit, as I say, the number of these grocery stores that can sell beautiful British Columbia wine. When you go in and you buy yourself some food for dinner, you can pick up a bottle of wine at the same time and take it home and have a very nice dinner with your spouse. And I can tell you that they are very popular, and it's a great vehicle for distribution of BC
before
wine.
we make those announcements and also face the World Trade Organization, are we confident that we are not breaking any agreements that we had before, particularly now under the new administration in the United States, which anything can happen?
Well, I'm not going to make any predictions about the new administration in the United States. We'll wait and see. But certainly when these licenses were, a lot of them were the existing VQA stores. So they've just simply moved from a standalone into the grocery. And the others were reissuance of licenses that were permitted under NAFTA. So as I said, there's a very limited number of them. And it does allow for our beautiful British Columbia wines to be sold in grocery stores around BC, except in Vancouver.
Okay, CRT. the Civil Resolution Tribunal. That was something that you were on the news recently, that you were really proud of it. So can you, before we go into the details of helping our audience understand what how this program can help them save money or find justice, and can you summarize this whole program?
We are very interested. To me, as Justice Minister, access to justice for British Columbians is number one. How do people get good access for their disputes? So the Civil Resolution Tribunal is for more minor disputes. It's not for the big, massive cases, but it's for the more simple things. So we've started out with stratas. And many of your listeners, your viewers, will live in a condominium. When they have a minor dispute, when they've got water coming through the ceiling, or somebody's charged them too much for the parking place, or all of those kinds of things that can cause an issue in a strata, they have not had a good place to go to resolve those disputes. You could go to Supreme Court. It's expensive, complicated, and not a suitable venue. So there really hasn't been a home for those disputes. So what we've got now is an online dispute resolution tribunal called the Civil Resolution Tribunal. You go into the tribunal online, you can figure out your problem, you educate yourself, you can then get some facilitation.
You're talking about the process.
I'm talking about the process,
now.
yeah.
Now, so the 3 steps on your websites, you have, and also over the news, they always introduce to the citizens that there are three steps. Can you help us follow the steps and give us a clearer picture?
Right. So you've got water coming through the ceiling, and you don't think it's your fault, and you don't think you should have to pay for it, but you can't find any way of resolving who should be paying for it. This is in your condominium. So you can take that problem, and you can go into the Civil Resolution Tribunal.
And the Strata Council refused to pay.
Yes.
That is the key. Is that right?
Yes. So number one, you go in and you educate yourself as to your problem. And it may say to you, have you talked to the Strata Council? Have you written them a letter? If not, here's a letter that you might write to them. So it gives you those first steps for yourself, because maybe you can figure out your problem.
Someone will answer those. Will give you feedback on that.
Yes. Number two, it's all automated, that piece of it. Number two, they will have somebody that will help facilitate. Can you just find a quick resolution to your problem? If that doesn't work, then you actually go to the adjudication, which is a hearing. The whole point is, though, that it's simple, it's inexpensive, it's meant to be fairly quick, within 90 days or less, if we hope to be less, and it's proportional to the problem. So it's an easier, simpler, more inexpensive process for the more simple problems and issues that people face in their lives. So we started with strata, and then the next step that we're going to now is small claims.
Now, let's go back to the strata, because it is really, a lot of people really are bothered by that.
Yes.
So the strata is kind of an independent entity that governs the apartment building, represented by the people, but yet the council can be very, very harsh on things. So if you have a problem with the Strata Council, CRT is the place to file your complaint, right?
It's a place where you can go and think about your complaint. It helps you think about it. It helps you educate yourself as to your complaint. It helps you think about what your next steps might be. Because your next steps are not necessarily to go through a dispute.
So the first step is actually help you understand and clarify the issue.
Exactly.
And also which jurisdiction you need to go to.
Exactly. And the jurisdiction might be your Strata Council itself. Maybe you haven't even talked to them properly yet. So it reminds you that you need to take those first steps. It's only if once you figure out your problem and you can't find a solution to it that you move on to the next step, where someone will try and help you find a solution. If you can't find a solution there, number 3 is actually the adjudication, where somebody will make a decision about your dispute. So those are the 3 steps in the process.
Now, on the second step, it's really a kind of dispute resolution process that is helping to educate the citizens. So if they have agreed that the two parties have agreed that they can to find a resolution, then you don't need to pay anything, right?
You need to file a dispute, but with the facilitation, you do pay, but then if you have to go into the adjudication, you actually then pay a little bit more.
A little bit more.
But the amounts are not high, and the first step is free. When you go in and just investigate your own problem and figure out the next steps, that's free. So we've had a lot of people. We've had 3,000 people go through the first stage, and then about, these are not exact numbers, but around 215 have gone into the second stage, and 2 people have actually had an adjudication in the third stage.
Yeah. So the first part, the people who are from your ministry is to help the people understand. The second part is there's almost like a facilitator to
That's
find
exactly right.
a dispute resolution. Who are these people? Do we talk to them directly, or they just email back and forth?
It could be an email back and forth. They're mediators, they're trained mediators, and it might be an email back and forth.
Yeah.
So these things, the good thing about this, well, there's many good things about the Civil Resolution Tribunal, but one of them is you can do it at any time. So can I talk about small claims for a moment? Because we're going to be getting to small claims.
I am going deeply into the small
okay.
claims. Let's take a break and we'll go dig all these
Okay.
issues because it's really important to our audience. 休息一陣，一陣間再返嚟同我哋施政兼律政廳長 Suzanne Anton 再傾下。